So I'll show you how to cook some chicken thighs and legs, in this specific case, chicken leg quarters, in both your air fryer and your toaster oven. So the best thing to do is to get these value packs. So you can see for this particular pack, normal price is almost $2.50 a pound, 2.49, and it's on sale for 1.29 a pound. So that's roughly almost 50% off, almost. And at 4.76, so 4.75 pounds, original price $11.85, on sale for $6.14. So almost 5 pounds of chicken for a little over $6. So you can cook these up in your air fryer or your toaster oven and stick them in your freezer. Ziploc them and stick them in your freezer, and you can reheat them for a very healthy and quick meal. This is how you quick thaw frozen chicken, or whatever meat, pork, beef. You have to put it into a Ziploc bag and then submerge it in water to transfer the heat as quickly as possible. So that's why I've been advocating Ziploc so much. So for the chicken that we're going to do for the air fryer and toaster oven chicken, it happens to be frozen. So you can see here, I mean, it is frozen, right? So for this demonstration, we're going to need 2 pieces, like so. One for the toaster oven, one for the air fryer. Maybe we'll do 3. So these are leg quarters, meaning you've got the drumstick and the thigh still connected. So for the big meat eaters, this is a good piece, as you've basically got a 2-piece in one. So place these into a sturdy Ziploc. It doesn't have to be the freezer type. Any Ziploc will do. Place them in the Ziploc. Put it in the bucket, or if you don't have one of these buckets to place on the counter, that's fine. You could put it in your sink and fill up your sink with water. So try to space them out. Lay them flat so that as much reaches the bottom as possible. Then fill it with water, or most likely you'll bring the bucket over to the water. Cold water is good enough. You don't need hot water. Or you can even use lukewarm water if you want to thaw it even faster. Okay, so you can see that the level of water is pretty high up, and you can see it floating. There's a ton of air in there. So that's where we want to open up maybe a corner of the bag and try to press it down to get all the air out as possible, because that air is going to retard your heat transfer. So you don't want any tarding. And close that up. Okay. And then after 30 minutes, you can come and flip it over. And you can check the temperature of the water. If the water has turned ice cold, replace the water with a fresh, lukewarm, or cold water. Then you'll probably wait another 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So for a total of anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, and your chicken should be thawed. We will also be cooking potatoes with our chicken dish. So what I have here are these little dinky baby Dutch yellow potatoes. Just the package over, you can see there are these little dinky things compared to my hand. You can see how small these potatoes are. You don't necessarily have to get these little dinky potatoes. You could use regular sized potatoes and just cut them into more manageable pieces. The goal being that you would put the potatoes and the chicken together. Well, not mixed. Maybe you would have either a pan or your air fryer container. On one side you would have your chicken, and on the other side you would have your potatoes. But the goal is to have them cook in roughly the same amount of time, so that once done, both the potatoes and the chicken are done. So these size potatoes are perfect for that. So I don't know, if you look at my thumb, it's about the size of, roughly smaller than these little potatoes, right? So that's roughly what you want to cut your potatoes down to. Not necessarily as small as, my thumb, maybe twice that size. So something like this size over here, or this one. After washing and drying the potatoes, we'll give it a light coat of olive oil. Mix that around in there. Then sprinkle with some salt. I have the standard iodized table salt. You don't necessarily need sea salt or kosher salt or anything like that. Standard iodized table salt is good enough. Maybe a little more salt. And then this is optional, but I like to use some garlic powder. And also some dill, dried dill. And again, completely optional. Mix that up. Okay, so these will go into either your air fryer or your toaster oven right next to the chicken. It's been 2.5 hours now that I've been letting the chicken thaw. Reason being, especially for chicken, but specifically when you have meats with bones, because the bones are also frozen, you have to give the bones some time to thaw out as well. So even though when you feel it, the meat is thawed, you still need to thaw out the bones too, because otherwise if the bones are still frozen inside and you start cooking, as the temps rise, the bone starts to thaw out internally, and that's when you'll start to see like some bleeding. So to avoid that, make sure that you give it a good amount of time to thaw out. So you can dump the whole bag into the bucket of water that you're using to thaw, and we can use that water to give it a quick rinse. So into the trash your Ziploc goes. All right, so give it a quick rinse, brush over it. Try to get out as much of the debris and crap as you can, like so. Onto paper towel, because we want to dry these out so that we can coat them with some oil and seasonings. So we want the skin to dry out. So there's two, and here's our third. Okay. And there is the third. Okay. So for these in particular, it's still got the ass on it. So if that bothers you, see that piece right there? So here is the leg, the thigh, and then there is the ass. So you can cut that part out right there, knock it into the trash. And if you wanted to, you could cut out some excess fat. You don't have to, but you could. Same here, like so. And then on the third piece, you can see it right there. Like that. Okay. And then when you flip it over, you might see some excess fat right there. So you could cut that out, like so. And I think there's another piece, yeah, that had a little bit. And we can cut that out. Okay. All right. And now we want to dry out the chicken. And here's a big piece of fat that I didn't cut out from the first one. You don't have to do this because after they're cooked, you don't have to eat it. Yeah, but you could. Okay. Okay, then you can. So we'll season this 3 different ways, one for each chicken. So the first thing is to coat some olive oil over the chickens. rub that around. Make sure that it gets all over the skin, the underside. Okay, so flip them over skin side down, and we'll season it first. So the first thing to start with is some salt. You know, you can use kosher salt, sea salt, whatever kind of salts you like. I'm using this time a standard iodized table salt. And you can see the sprinkle there. Good. Then some garlic powder. And this is optional, but you could use some thyme, dried thyme. And a little bit of white sugar, basically table sugar. Not too much, just a little, very little. Okay. Now you could, if you are inclined, also use black pepper, but I'm not going to this time. Okay, so this is the base for this chicken down here. We're gonna leave it at that. For the chicken on the left side up here, we'll use paprika, and the chicken on the right side, we'll use turmeric. So for the side with paprika, I would also add, and of course this is again optional, a lemon pepper. So sprinkle a little lemon pepper on it. And then paprika. And then for the chicken on the right, a turmeric. Okay, so flip these pieces over. And do the same things. So they all get salt. They all get a little bit of sugar, just a little. Garlic powder. And again, this is optional, dried thyme. Okay, now for the just standard salt and garlic powder, the one on the bottom, we're done. But for the paprika on the upper left, we have some lemon pepper. And the paprika. And And on the right, we have turmeric. And that's it for the seasonings. Probably let that sit for 15 minutes or so. So the chickens have been sitting for 15 minutes. And so let's say we're going to cook one in the toaster oven. So I have the toaster oven preheated. It's currently on at about a little over 400, like maybe 410, 415, 420, around there. Okay, so take some of your potatoes, like so, put it on 1/2 of your container, your platter, and take one of the chickens and go skin side up on the other half, like so. Put that in there. And check back, let me set the alarm, check back in 20 minutes. It won't be done in 20 minutes. That's just the time for you to check. So you check after 20 minutes, and then most likely it won't be done, but you'll get a sense of how much longer it'll be. So we'll be back in 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. Let's take a look at the toaster oven. And okay, so we can see it's nowhere near done. Take a look at the chicken right there. You can still see the meat is raw underneath. Potatoes look good, but not done. So okay, back in. So I would say let's wait another 10 minutes and then check what it looks like. Be back in 10 minutes. All right, it's been about 8 or 9 minutes. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. You can see right there. The potatoes look good, the chicken looks good. Let's see. Give the chicken a poke. It's tender, but yet firm. Okay, so at this point, with the skin looking the way it is, with the potatoes looking the way they are, I would turn it up to broil and roast it for about 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 4 to 5. So we'll take a look. It's been 3 minutes under the broil setting. Let's take a look. Oh, it's looking fantastic. Give it a press. Nice and firm. I think it's ready to go. So it's been, let's see, 20 minutes, then 10, and another 3. So 30 minutes at about 415, 420, and then the remaining 3 minutes on the broil setting. So a total of 33 minutes. So not bad. 33 minutes of cooking time. So let's take a look right there. Okay, so let's pull this out to a plate. And as you know, when you cook meat, any meat, you can't take it straight from the heat and cut into it. It'll lose a lot of its juices. So you need to pull it out of the heat and let it sit for about 5 minutes. Depending on the size of the meat, if you have a bigger, thicker piece of meat like a pork chop or some big steak, you'll probably need to let it sit for 10 minutes. But if you have a smaller piece of meat, such as this chicken leg, 5 minutes should be enough. So the juices here are very good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. You can coat your chicken with them. You can coat your potatoes with them. Don't waste it. It's fantastic. It's got a lot of turmeric in there. So we'll let it sit and we'll be back in 5 minutes or so. Okay, the chicken has been sitting for 5 minutes. And let's cut into it. So, for example, let's say we cut into the thigh on the side over here. You can see it looks to be cooked perfectly. And let's give that a taste. So tender, so juicy, and well seasoned. Let me get another piece. You can cut through to separate the leg from the thigh, but as you know, the thigh is where it's at. That is where it's at. So let's get another piece. Look at that. Cooked perfectly. So good. Okay. So these leg quarters are actually 2 pieces. So this is a 2-piece. Let's take a look at the potatoes. Let's grab one, cut it in half. Soft, cooked through and through. You can dip it into the sauce or the juice from the chicken. Give that a test. Indeed. Cooked through, tender. The skin is not crispy, but it gives a chew. I think we had a total of 33 minutes of cook time. We checked it at 20 minutes, found that it needed more time, gave it another 10 for a total of 30 minutes, then checked it again and put it on broil for another 3 minutes for a total of 33 minutes of cook time. So of course, with the prep work, thawing the chicken, seasoning it, seasoning the potatoes, and then putting it into the oven, it still comes out to under an hour, perhaps even 45 minutes. So, pair this with some rice and some vegetables. If you didn't have rice, that's fine because you've got potatoes. So, add some green vegetables in there, and you've got a tremendous meal under 45 minutes or under an hour. So tasty, so fresh, so healthy. Look at the turmeric oil. So anti-inflammatory.